And joining me now from New York is Puneet Sahani. He's also a Sikh activist and content coordinator for Sikhs for Enlightenment Values Association, or SEVA. Puneet, thanks so much for being with us. You know, both you and Amritpal Singh are described as Sikh activists advocating for Sikh rights, but you don't believe in what he says is something fundamental to the Sikh community, and that is an independent homeland. Why aren't you an advocate for Khalistan?
What kind of independence do you want? So like the Sikhs, for example, we are a democracy. And if you actually look at it, Sikhs have the most privileged position in the Indian constitution. So again, so if you look at, there are like four major religions, right? Islam, Christianity, Hindus, and, Sikhism. So in Hindus, basically the backward caste, they get reservation benefits, like if you are from the lower caste. And in like Christians and Muslims, because they are supposed to be non-Hindus, they get benefits of running their religious institutions and grants and running this. Sikhs gets both. Sikhs are like succeeding everything. And what do you mean by land? Like I can claim this is New York is mine. Like 40% of Punjab is Hindu. And if you look at the voting patterns in Punjab, so the party which asks for a Khalistan, they always lose their security deposit. Security deposit, to give you a perspective of Indian constitution in Indian elections, is if you get, so if you want to run an election, not everybody can run an election, right? So the way to do is you give up some amount of money, let's say like $1,000, and if you don't get even like 1/6 of the vote, then you forfeit that money. So when Khalistanis fight in elections, they lose security deposit. So Punjab is a Sikh majority state. The Sikhs enjoy a most privileged position in the Indian constitution. Sikhs are doing better than other communities. And who is he? He has not even won like a municipal block election.
Fair enough. Okay. So, I mean, you believe that he and his supporters actually do a disservice to the Sikh community?
Of course. What they are doing, like, for example, what kind of a Khalistan? So if you see, for example, he basically attacked a police station. The police is also Sikh. So you take and, they are taking weapons like this and they are attacking police. So this will be the law and order. Now, again, so you have to be very careful, Andrea. All these terrorist groups, for example, they use, a very special technique. So, for example, when they speak with you or the Western world, they use the language of democracy, freedom of right, freedom of speech and something. And when they talk to their own constituency, they use a very different language. So, I'm guessing, you are from a German background. So I've translated and put it on my Twitter. Somebody has done it, and I've put it, the video where he's speaking in Punjabi. In Punjabi, he's using exactly Hitlerian language for Hindus, which are like 40% of the state. He's saying they have no right on Punjab, like 40% of the people who are Hindus. And he's using the word that they are pest. He's using this word.
So I mean, would it be fair for you to actually describe Amritpal Singh and his supporters as Sikh supremacists?
Yeah, they are genocidal demagogues.
It's amazing, though, because right, and they of course accuse the Indian government right now of genocide, both in the 1980s and he's describing now that the government is perpetrating this drug genocide on the Sikh community. Do you think right now Amritpal Singh and his supporters are as bad as their counterparts from the 1980s and 90s that were effectively, taken down by the government?
Again, you see, for example, if you look at the data, it's just like very easy to say things. I'm not an activist. I'm just interested in facts. And whatever you say, like my idea is like, what evidence do you have? So, Andrea, you have to understand when the militancy happened in Punjab, it was one of the bloodiest militancy. To give you an idea, it was more than, the deaths were more than what was happening in, in Kashmir. And I give you an example. So in the last 2 years, an average, more than 500 people were dying a month. Not in 1 month, for 2 years, like that 1990 and 1991 period. That meant a Mumbai, terrorist attack was happening thrice a month. So 500 people were dying every month. Now, if you look at the data, so I'm not talking about, the police. Like if you look at the police, so 10% of all the deaths in that 22,000 are actually the police. And if you look at the police names, it seems like 80 to 90% are the Sikhs themselves.
Okay.
Now, if you look at the civilians died, I'm telling you about civilians died. 60% of the civilians that the terrorists killed, and the thing is, it's not like somebody says the Indian government killed them. Because when the terrorists would kill them, like there is a terrorist movement, they would take responsibility in the newspapers. So if you look at the data, 60% of the people that they killed were Sikhs themselves.
Okay.
And that's why when the terrorism ended, nobody who speaks for Khalistan basically wins an election.
Right.
Go ahead.
But I mean, your position, and we just have a minute left, but your position has, according to you, led to very serious death threats. So what has that meant to your life now, trying to defend what you think is the legitimate Sikh cause?
I'm just like, Sikh tells you about treat all humanity as one. So I'm just like, I treat like this. But, I tell you, Andre, so the thing is, it's nothing. I got a lot and, this is my duty to serve and I'm doing it. But I'm just saying, these people all, if you look at the data, for example, also if you go to UK and US, all the people who were killed, no Khalistani were killed. They say, we are the victim and everything. They play the victim. But all people who were killed were people who spoke against Khalistan. If I can just take 30 seconds, you are going to have this guy from Dal Khalsa or something. So there was a guy whose name was Darshan Das in 1987 in UK. And he just said, Hindu-Sikh peace. And he was killed. And when the court ordered, like that thing, and they said this was a man of peace. He was just for his views. He was saying, I'm against Khalistan, and they killed him. And if you look to this, Dal Khalsa 84, if you go to their Twitter handle, the guy who was killed, they are celebrating that guy as he has done some great service to his name is Rajinder Singh Bhatt.
Martyr.
If you do Bhai Rajinder.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is what they do.
Puneet Sahani, we will have to leave it there. I'd like to thank you really so much for sharing your views with us on the Newsmakers. Greatly appreciated.
I shared facts, not views.
Okay. Thank you.
Namaste and Jai Hind, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your time. Puneet Sahani, you had called this out. You had called out that the language, one of the things that you had called out in your when you put out on social media, is that Amritpal was also a very smart guy. His language and his tone and what his narrative is when he's speaking in English is different. When he moves into Punjabi, it's different. So he's catering to two different audiences. The other aspect is of this targeting, that an Amritpal is a soft target. It's a false narrative that is spun, and these people are made to think that Sikhi and Sikhs are in danger in India.
So, Namaste, Anand Bhai, Jai Ma Bharti. So, there are a few points. Now, first of all, it's not false narrative. These are just like psychopathic liars. So, for example, now I was listening to this 2-minute speech. I think it was 100-second speech that he gave before he surrendered to the police. Now, in that 100-second in Punjabi, anybody can listen. You know what he's saying? I counted, it was 6 or 7 times. He said in this 1 month while I was away, he was justifying why he was running around like a dog and why he surrendered now. He says 6-7 times that, the government had unleashed a great repression of Sikhs. Look, imagine what kind of a conversation you can have with such deranged and such filthy liars. What repression has happened to the Sikhs? Ramneek Bhai is sitting here, everybody is sitting here, everybody is doing it. Sikhs are the most, beloved and thriving community here. Now, if somebody is saying nonsense like that, what kind of argument you can have? And I will just make a salient point. So, what you say, about very few, Sikhs are involved. All this is true, Anandji, and this is also I'm bringing out. But there is another perspective to it. The thing is, it's not how many... what do you say, Sikhs support Khalistan or not? Almost nobody supports it. But the question is, can a few number of Sikhs who are radicalized and the government who doesn't, deal with them firmly, can they create a havoc or not? This is what happened in Punjab. You will be surprised, even after Blue Star, there was not a large support amongst the Sikhs against for Khalistan. I'll tell you, the main guy of Bhindranwale, who was Amritpal Singh, he lost the Gurudwara election. They can't even win a Gurudwara election. From Moga, he lost from Jeevan Singh Ji Ungraonagar. When they did a sociological study of Punjab, then they asked people, why had you joined the Khalistan movement? So the people who had joined for Bhindranwale, for Khalistan, for Delhi 84, for Blue Star, all these people together, they were hardly 10%. And 40 people have joined Shokiya Tor se. This was the reason they had given in sociological study that had been done by 3 very reputed sociologists of Guru Nanak Dev University, that they had joined for looting, they had joined for rape, and because they lived for less than 1 year. But in that 1 year, they committed 50 rapes. So they did not even have support then. But you see what the havoc was unleashed in Punjab. And more than, 22,000 Punjabis were killed. Because, we didn't manage this issue properly. So, as much as I accept this point that only it's a small fringe, But it's a small fringe, and if we don't manage it correctly, it doesn't mean it can create a havoc for the entire country.
There are many who are watching this broadcast who are also saying this does not end here. This is just the tip of the iceberg or one cog in the entire wheel. The entire wheel needs to be dismantled, and that's the larger challenge, because there are those who have already bought into this narrative and who are feeding it.
No, Anandji, please, like the thing is, you deal with firmly. Actually, I'll tell you very like, if you read what was happening in 1991 and 1990, this was the worst period of militancy, where on an average more than 5,000 people were being killed. And when they saw, like, what was happening, if you read the most senior people of the security establishment, I think it was Mr. D.P. Sharma, if you read his book, they were making the argument that resolve, nothing can happen, everything is lost. This is what all the journalists were writing. But when Mr. Gill came and he showed some courage and clarity and resolve, nobody imagined in 6 months all this Khalistani militancy will die down when it was so bad. So we just have to show right now, the government is not clear that, yes, this is a problem. We understand it. We are not going to, make any negotiation, and, we will deal with them firmly. Then everybody would come out and, speak against them. If they see like the government, is going to, placate them and something, then nobody's mad, because these people are wild, these people are violent, and other people are decent family people. They will never come in support if they think like the government has no clarity or, courage to take them on. That is point number one. The second thing is, you said weakling. Oh, bhai, all of them are a weakling. Deep Sidhu, who was saying that we have done this Red Fort. You find this video when the police was after him, he was running for a month and he was crying like a little girl. I'm not exaggerating. You can find videos, and Deep Sidhu is a leader. Bhindranwale, they don't know, this was not the first time that he had hidden the Gurudwara. This was the third time. When Black Thunder happened, Mark Tally is still alive. If you read his, the Khalistanis used to say, we will do this, the government should come and do that. When, they did Black Thunder, these people, and by the way, they had cyanide in their thing. So if they had honor, they could have chewed it. These people got inside the Golden Temple and they defecated inside the sanctum sanctorum, these Khalistanis. And when they came out, for example, there was one guy, a very famous militant, Kara Singh Thande. He did not take the cyanide when he was inside the temple. He defecated inside. But when he came out and he saw the police and he saw the police identified him, he quickly ate the cyanide. So these are the cowards of the largest, you can't even imagine. But you have to show that you're not a coward. If you don't show that you have, these people will, dance on your head. And one point I will make is I'll give you a history. Like, for example, this guy was found from Bhindranwale Gurudwara. First of all, if you read SGPC, is it allowed to make a Gurudwara in name of Bhindranwale? If you, nobody has read it, but if you actually read, when SGPC is a British creation, at that time, the Gurudwaras were called Dharamsal. So they are still called Dharamsal, where Afghani Sikhs live, for example, because it's out of Punjab. I'm telling you a very important bit of history. So when SGPC had to capture all these Gurudwaras, they made the case Gurudwara is only a place where it is associated with the Sikh Gurus, the 10 Sikh Gurus, or where the Granth Sahib has been established. If we don't make it for any person, and now they have made a Gurudwara for Bhindranwale, which is completely against what they had presented when they were being formed. And who was this Bhindranwale? Bhindranwale said that every Hindu should kill, every Sikh should kill 35 Hindus, and 2 Sikhs in every village take a motorbike and take a pistol and get on the job, and people started killing. He used this casteist slur for a prime minister. He called her a Bahmani, and a casteist slur for, our Ramgarhia president, who was Zail Singh. He called it a GullyGhar. This was the guy. He said, if you don't release my bus, I will kill 5,000. I will chop 5,000 Hindus to pieces in 1 hour. This is a man so vile and so vicious and so evil. And, first they have made him a saint, and now they have made a Gurudwara out of him. This is the biggest blasphemy. Not this little girl who has gone and then you have made the entire propaganda. You read, what is the SGPC history? You can't make a Gurudwara on any person, but they are making on this person who was the most vile,
not only making
vicious, deranged, evil.
You make a very strong point there, Puneet, and it's based on hard fact. And this fact is not very palatable to certain people. When you ask some of these hard questions to the SGPC, they then turn to become aggressive on you and then try and accuse you of beadbi.